Welcome back to CFB Nation. I am your host, Nino Brown, and I got my guy, Mr. Get It Done, aka Dino, in the building. And when you see us on the screen, you already know it's Devy. But we just want to wish you a happy New Year before we break down this gentleman. Dino, how we doing? How was your New Year?
It's not too bad, not too bad. Last night, great game. But now we're going into my favorite part of the year, off season, draft season. Um, so I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, I'm gassed up now. Oh, and it's not a knock to people, but most people start to kind of fade away. Like people want a break; they need a break. Unfortunately, CFB Nation is made up of a bunch of sickos, so we don't really break. We just kind of dive in down the rabbit hole a little bit more. I already got a couple drafted articles. I know you got some drafted articles coming up, so it's gonna get real interesting real quick. We also got a couple announcements coming through on the pipeline, some additions to the team, which will be probably dropping this weekend. We're just growing, and it's gonna be fun. It's talking about growing. I want to say this might be in the 20s by now, right? We got to be probably close to episode 25, 20.
Oh yeah,
It's been a run, dude.
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
was going through it the other day, and I'm like looking at them, and a lot of these are getting views, bro. We're over 100 on like the last probably dozen, right? We're getting up there. And some of these older ones are starting to get some buzz now. I think we get a little bit hits on this off season, so it's been fun. Uh, I seem like now we're kind of being able to dive into these oddball names that people, the casual, fan may not know. So this guy's probably going to be one of them. It's going to be Pofele Ashlock out of Hawaii. Whew, man, this guy, he's exciting. He got juice. And I think once we break this all down, a few more people who watch the show are going to enjoy this guy, and they're probably going to dive in. 6'1", 170 pounds. His original name, I don't know if this Pofele is his nickname, but it's Tongan is his original name. All right, he's out of Yulee, Texas. He attended Trinity High School. He was a class of 2022. He's a two-star. Okay, so I believe he was a walk-on at Hawaii, and man, those kids that walk on, they always have a little bit, a little bit of extra, a
On
little
that
bit,
shoulder.
yeah, a little more, juice in the tank to prove people wrong. Dino, I know you love guys like this.
I do.
Talk to me about this guy who's got that unique, skill set that you like.
Yeah. So how do I put this into words? He's more of an athlete, I think, more than a football player. And that goes by 40-yard dash 4.5, which I mean 4.5 and below. That's almost elite speed.
Yeah.
Almost a 30-inch vertical, which is ridiculous itself. And a 9-foot 2-inch broad jump, which is pretty good for an 18-year-old. Unless you're like Olympic training,
Yeah.
anything over 9 is spectacular.
And that's what I'm saying. He's a high school kid, right? You got a high school kid, and you gotta love it. Like that means like you nailed it. He's an athlete. Like it don't matter what he does, he's always gonna find a way. Like it's just he's the athleticism in him comes out when it's time. So like we said, he went to Trinity High School, and listen, the sample size in high school is small. So like a lot of people might have been like, "Oh, where did this guy come from?" From the sickos who dive into to the Devy community in the college fantasy football, because week 1 and 2, this guy was setting off alarms and bells. Anybody who played college fantasy football, like, whoa, where did this guy come from? He wasn't supposed to be the guy on this team, right? So like he just popped out of nowhere. It was a small sample size from high school. I believe in his junior year, it was, I want to say he had less than 10 catches. Well, like 5 or 6. He just was sparingly used. His senior year, they went on. This team Trinity High School went 11-2, great record. He had 20 receptions, 406 yards, 4 touchdowns. There comes that athlete thing, right? He had 5 attempts out of the backfield for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he was named first team All District. Like 5 attempts for 127 yards. Like that's 25 yards pop. Like, you know what I'm saying? That shows you the speed coming out of the backfield. It shows you the versatility. Like, this dude's got a little bit of something. I just can't put my finger on it. Talk to me about some of these attributes that you've seen that jumped off the screen. Mind you, finding footage and digging in the bag for Hawaii footage and Ashlock footage ain't easy. We were on our Perry Mason searching for this stuff. So talk to me what
Yeah.
you liked.
So first thing I noticed is, I mean, you said it with his stats. He's a playmaker. You get him the ball, some way he's going to make a move, get you points, get you yardage. To go along with that, he's a field stretcher. We like to call him a squirrel, always moving, trying to find the next space to live in. His stop and go is incredible.
Yeah.
It's almost like an art watching him do it, especially for an 18-year-old. And he's not a one-trick pony. He can run every route on the tree, which I think is really incredible for someone his age, and to know that it's only going to get better as he gets more reps, more practice.
When I noticed and when I read, when I dove into it, is like I said, he redshirted. We'll get into that in a little bit. He redshirted his first year over there at Hawaii, but he went into it knowing he had to develop a better route tree. He wanted to define that and work his craft. And Chang, has been happy with what he's done, and it seems like the kid's really carved out a role for himself by just grinding. And we're gonna get into it in a little bit. But what I noticed was, I'm not talking about coming to America when I say semi, but he got like a semi twitch to him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not that dude like a Tank Dell, or a Zay that's like super twitched up at the line. But he got that suddenness to him. Like, there's just a sudden movement to him where he just, it's like instant space, right? And this dude, I probably will mess up this word. I'm sorry. He's going to school studying kinesiology, which is the art of motion, which, all right, bro. Like, I'm cool with that. You're learning how things move. That's what you're majoring in. And what you're doing, you're out there in a slot, right? The most movement that you can possibly be as a wide receiver. This dude's cooking. So I love it. It's the mental is right there. I call him a hash line hero, like a little Julian Edelman dude. He just eats up in the hash. Like, he's using the hash more than Twitter is. All right, you know what I'm saying? And like, he's got endurance. It's on 100. He's like a little Energizer bunny out there. Like, I watched the Nevada game and the Air Force game. This dude was just constantly in motion. Like, motion him, boom, set, motion him back. Like, the dude's all over the place, and he sets up nicely. Even in the motion, if he's not involved, he's just to draw guys. He does well to create space for other receivers, which I think we're going to get into in a little bit as well. And he helps his quarterback. Like, listen, homeboy's coming back this year. Straight, he's coming back. He's not the most accurate guy. Yes, got a howitzer, can throw the ball, 60 yards downfield. But what he does to help his guy out is he works himself like into an area where he's kind of open, like where he can throw it to a space where he doesn't have as much of a chance of getting a turnover, right? So this guy helps his QB by getting into open spaces and open areas. So I'm a fan of him. I think, he hit a little low spot. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but then he kind of turned it back on to end the season, which I liked. He went to Hawaii. I couldn't see any offers. I didn't see him get any offers anywhere. I believe he was, like I said, a walk-on at Hawaii. We said he redshirted this year alone as the number 2 because, McBride was the number 1 for Hawaii, and everybody knew he was going to be the number 1. So this Ashlock kind of came out of nowhere. He had 121 targets, 83 receptions, 832 yards, 9 touchdowns, 10 yards per catch, okay? 297 yards after contact. He had a dot of 10.1. This is what I loved, right? 6'1", 170. 7 of the 16 contested catch opportunities. You're looking at like 48%. I will take that, right? 97% out of the slot. So he's locked in. That's his position. This is where he eats. This is what he's doing. What I did not like about it this year for him, and this is something that he's got to, he really has to work on in this offseason. There's a reason why I didn't have it in the attributes is because he had 10 drops this year, too. Like, that's a lot of drops, especially when you're a guy that's getting targeted in space, right? To create, you can't have that. It's just something he's got to, really fine tune in the off season. But he was responsible for 43 first downs for Hawaii. That's a lot, dude. Like, for a guy who wasn't supposed to be a dude, that is a ton. And again, he had 3 games of 2 touchdowns. Sign me for redshirt, freshman, whatever it may be, first year player, I'm all about it, dude. Like this kid's got juice, got swag, it's jumping off the page, and the fact that he has no problem being that too, right? Because what he was, he was a nobody, and now he's coming in, he's making a name for himself, and he's like, okay, I got no problem doing it. I'll fly on the radar. Sooner or later, it's going to be mine. You know what I mean? Sooner they're going to know my name. So, talk to me about. I know you love picking these games in these weeks and just highlighting. Talk to me about what you've seen.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about 5 games. Week 0 versus Vandy. Granted, it's Vandy, still a SEC defense. 7 receptions, 127 yards, and a touchdown. Followed it up against Pac-12 Stanford, 8 receptions, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. So first 2 weeks, already almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then week 3 against Oregon, top 10 defense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Still got 8 receptions, granted for 47 yards, but still 8 receptions. They had some pretty good corners. Then week 10 against Nevada, 9 receptions, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then week 11 versus Air Force, 12 receptions, 67 yards, 2 touchdowns. So like you said, he kind of had a roller coaster a little bit there. But it was nice to see him at the end start to tick back up and hopefully into next season.
Yeah, so the Oregon game, like the fact that he was able to get 8 receptions, right? Like that defense was stellar. And if you watch that game, the score was stupid. It was like 50. Ty Thompson came in at the beginning of the 4th quarter, right? So I want to say there was 43 points up on the board before the 4th quarter started. So like the game, it was like 43-3 at one point. I want to say so. The game was out of reach, but the kids still kept grinding. He still kept playing. That defense never subbed out. That was the starters, that whole time. And like he was targeted, I want to say it was like 12 times. So like the kid, he's got it, and they went after him. And it doesn't matter if it was cupcake game or, and like you said, Vandy's SEC by money,
SEC
by academics, whatever it may be that they're there. It's not by football, talent. Yeah. But he's doing it, and he's facing SEC competition, and he's performing. What a coming out party, right? Like almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, like, cooking, right? And then let me see. So the middle there, right? I believe weeks 4 he was okay as well. I think he had like 5 receptions for like 38 yards or something. I believe Shredder got hurt in the middle.
I want to say yeah.
So like they kind of, because it was what's his face. No, I think he came back in. I'm not sure, but I think there was a point where he just wasn't 100% there in the middle of the season. And they kind of went, a little south. But then at the end, he turned it back on. Air Force has got a stout defense, bro. Like, granted, they're a one-trick pony on offense. They just run the ball. Everyone knows triple options coming, whatever it may be. But their defense is stout every single year. And for him,
they had that Thorpe winner this year.
Yeah, and for him to get peppered like that and have success, okay, that opens my eyes. And like I said, again, Stephen McBride was the one. And it's very apparent because in 20 less receptions, he had 200 plus more yards in the same amount of touchdowns. So McBride was the guy. But Ashlock came in here and just kind of made a name for himself and kind of just like he put his finger on the buzzer. I'm like, hey, guys, especially like I said, this is Devy Dollins. So we're talking about Devy. You're talking about college fantasy football. This kid was a absolute stud as a redshirt freshman. It's that time, my man. All right. And this one was a little difficult for me because he's kind of got the guys I compared him to were 4 stars. These guys were highly touted, coming in recruits. But his game has some similarities to him. First off, I got Victor Cruz. Okay, I just like the way he played. I know Victor Cruz for the Giants did play a lot on the outside, but at UMass he kind of played everywhere, and he ate up in the slot as well. Just his shiftiness, right? Like Victor Cruz wasn't like super twitched up like Tank Dell, like those guys. But Kadarius Toney was so twitched up he can't even get off the line of scrimmage, right? But those guys, like he's not like that, but he has a little twitch where, like I said, that suddenness to him. Where I feel like everybody's like, oh, Victor Cruz just had an instant to him. Like he had that instant step which got separation, made him look like he was super twitchy. He really wasn't, and then he had the speed, which 4.5. I'll take that. And then Rondell Moore. Okay. I love Rondell Moore coming out of Purdue. Like he was a guy, You get the ball to him in space, and he just created like instant playmaker. But he also could burn you and get downfield deep, which is what Ashlock can do. If you look at his touchdowns, which is crazy, is the 2 touchdown games, he usually got one deep where he burnt somebody, and then he got one where it was like either in the red zone where he cooked someone short and got in the end zone, or like he just worked off a screen and went for 30 for touchdown. But like it was just like one of each. So like those are my comps. I don't know if you think I'm like far off on them, or what are your thoughts?
No, I think I honestly wouldn't have thought of Victor Cruz. But as you broke him down, I can see it. And I love the Rondell Moore one. Being in Big Ten country, saw him every single week. Torch my Hawkeyes, my wife's Buckeyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that one's pretty spot on.
All right. Cool. Now give me yours. Talk to me.
So my comps, I kind of went slot kings. My first one is Austin Collie from BYU. Just was he made a living. Granted, ended up costing him too, playing in a slot.
Yeah.
But you could always count him. He was a walking first down, much like Ashlock is. And then my second one is Nelson Aguilar. Frame wise, I thought he just fit, kind of tall, lanky, but had that surprising speed too. Also kind of struggled with the drops.
Yeah.
But again, if he did catch it, he had the speed and the moves, the shiftiness to make you pay for it.
Oh yeah. His first couple of years in the league, and I got to see him here. Granted, he had a good year this year, Aguilar in the NFL. It's just he had that 1 year with the Raiders, right? And then he had this year. It's just like it never panned out from college to the NFL. I don't know if it was where he landed. I'm like, oh, maybe just this wasn't like. Now you've been on 3 teams, dude, and it's just kind of just I don't know. It's just odd because I had all the hype. I had really thought this kid he was going to be the dude, and he just kind of. But you see flashes of it, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Now I understand why he went where he went, you know, and then you're like, oh, now I understand why he kind of is where he is too, you know. But yeah, I absolutely love the comps. Like, is this an odd take to say that Austin Collie kind of paved the way for Puka Nacua?
No, I think that is perfectly fine to say. Austin Collie put BYU wide receivers
on the map.
Yeah, like he showed that they're not afraid to do the dirty work, even with all this BYU Mormon school.
Yeah, going my mission.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they may be older when they go to school, but they're still there to play football,
right.
Do their job, and they'll take a beating if that's what they need to be. And like I said, granted, Austin Collie paid for that.
Yes.
But yeah, no, he paved the way for guys like Puka. 100%.
I'm sorry, Peyton, but I put a little bit on him. He didn't protect his boy. Like, you know what I'm saying? He let his boy out there knowing that he was that type of dude. So it is what it is. But yeah, I think and they got a guy coming out of BYU this year in Gatlin, right? Gatlin, that kid's going to be a dude as well. He's got that speed. He's that dude who can eat over the middle. I love that he's coming into BYU this year. Or out, whatever it may be. He's going to be a guy. I think we need to see a little more Ashlock next year. And I think it's going to be, I think they play week 0 again, right?
I think so. Okay, so I have a question for you. We saw Schrager go into the portal this year.
Come back.
Tommy Chang. Oh, yes, and come back. Can Tommy Chang hang on to these two after this year?
So I didn't hear any buzz about either one of these wide receivers have any thought about hitting the portal. Like not McBride or
No, but I mean, if Tommy Chang, everyone knows he wants to sling the ball around.
Yes.
And everyone wants an experienced quarterback. And if they can snag one of his wide receivers or a wide receiver to go with them.
No, I see what you're saying. I think the first year was abysmal. I was surprised that he even lasted. I thought they were going to run him out of town. I know he's a hero in that, in that uniform, but it was almost Scott Frost-esque that first season. You know what I'm saying?
What?
But you've seen this year, like Schrager looked good, like airing the ball. Yeah, he had some turnovers, granted, but like he had a big arm. He was getting really mobile this year, like out there, like just getting jiggy. I think it's like another year or two. Like the fact that he hit the portal, and he hit prime portal too, and came back, right? Like maybe he had offers, maybe he made visits, and it wasn't what he maybe it wasn't better, maybe what he was going to didn't have as many weapons. I don't know. Maybe the bag wasn't as good as he thought he was going to get, whatever it may be. So I think one more year, but who knows? Maybe you get a situation where you get like these guys. Maybe they got that same bond like Fafita and T-Mac got, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they say, nah, bro, we want to do it here, right? We want to put Hawaii back on the map, and bro, that's a wide receiver duo in that QB that they can put up a lot of points.
And I will say this: yes, Tommy Chang is a Hawaii hero. And I hope he does well in Hawaii, but I think the problem is he's trying to build Hawaii through Hawaii. Because as I looked up,
there's
the
nothing.
Tongan, it's his ethnicity. His mother is Tongan.
Yeah,
that's what it is. And I have no problem doing that, but at the same time, you can only go so far.
Yeah, you got it. And I'm all cool with getting the guys, keeping the big guys where you're from. Cool. Mm-hmm. But you gotta go outside of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then try to recruit guys outside of that. And then it's very like McBride was one of them. Like, he's not right. But look what you got. You got a 1,000-yard receiver off 63 receptions and 9 touchdowns. You go outside of where you're at, and you can get a little bit more. Great. Hey, I'm not saying for linemen, right? Because give me all the Samoan linemen you can get. Like, give me 360, 6'4", 6'5", 360-pound Samoans. Cool. They'll block everybody. But go get me that 235-pound 4'4" linebacker, right? That can just get down. Because listen, I'm gonna tell you something now. Hawaii ain't keeping the Samoan linebackers. They're going to places like Washington and Oregon. You're like, that's what those guys are going.
Big debut. Hook up the Hawaii.
Yeah, right. So, but this is a good one. And listen, if you like just instant sauce, like just a guy that's going to jump off as soon as you see, like, 86. Oh, okay. I got to keep watching it. Go check out Pofele Ashlock. Once again, this is CFB Nation. It's Devy Dollins. I'm Nino Brown. That's my main man right there, Dino. He gets it done. That's why he's Mr. Get It Done. And we got this one done for you. First one of the new year. We got a whole new schedule coming. 4 more guys lined up for for the rest of the January. Maybe Valentine's special in February. We'll give you an extra guy or do something special for you. But we appreciate you guys. Once again, Devy Dollins, CFB Nation. We out.